Hey, what up, YouTube? Once record this video real quick. This will definitely not be a long video. It's just more of I guess, an explanatory video about the transfer portal. Um, and maybe it should clarify some things, right? Because I've been running around saying this, that, the third, even though technically, even what I'm saying isn't really the truth or exactly how it works. But after doing just some research, like 3 seconds of research, right? This is how the transfer portal works. Transfer portal's been around since 2018. Clearly, it worked a lot differently than how transfers worked prior to 2018. Essentially, we know that if a collegiate athlete, let's just keep it at let's talk about college football and keep it FBS, right? Let's not get super technical with Division 2, 3, yada, yada, yada. Let's just say NIU, Ohio State, USC, any of those schools, right? FBS schools. If I am a freshman, right? Let's say I redshirted, and I'm just like, I'm homesick. I didn't even see the field, right? Because I'm a redshirt, right? So it's like, yeah, I got used to kind of being a student athlete, but I didn't play, and like, let's say I'm at NIU, but I'm from California, right? I don't even know if NIU has a single California player on that roster, maybe one, but that's not something you often see. But like, let's say we got some kid from California, Southern California to be exact, and they're in DeKalb. And they're just like, this ain't for me. They might have been led to believe that, they were going to see some playing time and it just didn't happen. Or, I mean, you could have that situation where, let's say the kid did play in the first 2 games, they got injured, they get that red shirt tag, now they're done for the season, right? What that is doing, that red shirt is saving their year of eligibility. So they should still have 4 years of eligibility after that. But then you have also, right, they just want out, They're just like, I could go and maybe get picked up at San Jose State or San Diego State or, something like that, right? They just want to go back home. Traditionally, we know the thing with that, you transfer, you're essentially out for a year. So it was always kind of crazy. At least that's how I remember it. It's like if a kid transferred in, that's a whole season gone, right? Transferring. It didn't really necessarily matter if that dude was a grad transfer, this transfer, that transfer. But things have changed quite a bit, right? We get into these years of eligibility and all of these things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to act like I'm an expert. If I remember correctly, you get 4 years of eligibility. If I remember correctly, you get 4 years of eligibility. But we know that we have a lot of guys who, and maybe this might get around to like one of the last groups of players you kind of see like that, because we're getting to those years after COVID. We know, right, we still have some guys around who have had injury exemptions, who had that, they had the COVID exception. They had probably just their regular redshirt year, maybe their freshman year or sophomore year. They ended up redshirting, right? All sorts of different things. So you end up with guys who've technically been in college football who could have ended up in playing college football for like just a ton of years. Like, that's what you end up seeing. Like, just these guys who've been around forever and they're technically on their 8th year as a collegiate athlete, and you're just like, how is that even possible? But then they go down the whole list of how it works. But let's just not factor in like guys who had injury issues or any of that stuff. if I am a redshirt junior, academically, I've been in college for 4 years. When it comes to eligibility and everything pertaining to the football team, I'm a redshirt junior. Academically, I have been at my school for 4 years. So let's say I play running back. I redshirted my first year. I was still in school. I was still going to classes. I was still doing my 15 plus whatever credit hours. I was doing all that stuff. I was working out with the team. I was practicing every day, right? I just did not see the field my entire freshman year. Next year, I'm going to be considered redshirt freshman. But academically, you could say it's my sophomore year, right? When a guy, and to me, I always view this as fair, right? This is my thing. If a guy's a redshirt junior, in reality, most likely they're about to graduate, right? So they're actually going to graduate from your university. And if they still have eligibility and all those things, they may have 1 or 2 years left when it comes to eligibility. It all depends on playing time and depends on, like I said, all those different things, right? Like I said, I've never been injured. I did play my sophomore year, or year 2 for me, right? So I played my redshirt freshman year. I played my redshirt sophomore year, right? That redshirt label, it just kind of sticks, right? Just for reasons and purposes. Because me being a redshirt sophomore really means this is my 3rd year at NIU. So I'm a redshirt junior now. I've played my sophomore year. I've played redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, redshirt junior. I've played for 3 years. I've been at NIU for 4 years, though. I should pretty much just have a year of eligibility left. That's how you have to understand it. I should have a year of eligibility left. Now, here's me. I enter the transfer portal. It's 2024. We're coming off of a 7-5 season. I've gotten in, I've rushed for 500 some yards. I had a couple touchdowns, but I'm about to graduate. I'm graduating from NIU. I want to go back home. Like I said, I'm from California or something, right? I want to go back home. I've put in my time at NIU. I want to go back home. I enter the transfer portal. All right, I've discussed with the coaches. My time's up here. I love y'all. I thank y'all. Y'all have been family for me, this, that, the third, right? I put out there that I'm going to enter the transfer portal, right? The school now has 48 hours to, with the compliance office, whatnot, they have to fax in, email in, whatever they got to send in to officially put me in the portal. Once I'm in the portal, other schools can now contact me and communicate with me. Nobody should be contacting me and communicating with me before the portal, right? They cannot contact or communicate with me before my name pops up in the portal, right? That's where some folks can get in trouble. I don't know if that necessarily means how that works with social media. Like, can I follow a guy on social media, right? I'm not communicating with them. I haven't reached out. All I did was click follow, right? Maybe there's a rule against that. Maybe it has to be you cannot do that until that name pops up in the actual portal. But the way the rules are written, and I'm pretty sure things may be updated, they might not be. Technically, if I'm in that portal, I can still play in a bowl game, even being in the portal. Now, here's the thing. I didn't look super deep into the rules on, let's say I'm in the portal and I sign with another school, and I'm straight up like, I'm about to go to San Diego State. Like, it's official. Everything has been faxed in. I'm going to San Diego State. Still, right, and this is where I may have been wrong, right, because I may have said that, well, once you join the portal, you're no longer a scholarship athlete at that school, yada, yada, yada. I can't necessarily say that that's how that works or that that's the truth. It gets just really weird because it's like my main way of explaining it was, you enter the transfer portal, that's like free agency, right? You're on the market. But I guess the way to think about it, if you're in the portal, this is what it really allows to happen. It does not say that you necessarily are no longer on the roster of the school you attend and have played for. It doesn't necessarily say that you're no longer under scholarship, yada, yada, yada. Or I think technically, I think it actually does. See, that's where it gets weird. That's where it gets really weird, because I do actually believe you can no longer, like, it's like you're no longer a scholarship athlete. Now, that's where things get technical, because, I mean, well, we know you don't necessarily have to be a scholarship athlete to play for a school, right? We got walk-ons all over the place. Walk-ons, right? You got coaches who will tell you our walk-ons are the foundation of our program, right? You got guys who walk on here, like, without the walk-ons, we're not able to accomplish X, Y, Z. So technically, if we're going based on wording, the way I've interpreted it, you go into the transfer portal. You are now no longer, the contract, right, is no longer binding, I guess you could say, between you and that university, right? I'm now able to communicate with other schools. But let's say I don't get an offer right away, or let's say I get an offer but I don't accept an offer. Well, can I still play in that bowl game? The overall answer is yes. The thing is this: from a business decision point of view, from the coach's end and then from the player's end, if I am a coach and let's say I'm not a redshirt junior running back who's done 4 years, who's about to graduate in a week, yada, 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 this, that, and the third. Let's say that's not me. Let's say I'm a freshman, right? Let's say I'm a freshman, or let's say I'm a red shirt. I'm a red shirt freshman, right? I redshirted my first year there. Second year, technically, I played that season, but I didn't play as much as I wanted to. I was just having some issues off the field. I was having some issues with the coach. I don't know. Who knows what the reasoning is, right? I just think I could have some better opportunities elsewhere. Players leave for all sorts of different reasons. Let's say I'm a redshirt freshman. I did play this prior season. I got 3 years of eligibility left, right? We're doing the math on this, right? Because remember, first year I redshirted. I've only played 1 year now. I got 3 years left of eligibility. I hit the portal. Like I said, player has 3 years of eligibility, 2 years of eligibility. How many years of eligibility they got left? If you're the coach, would you necessarily, I guess you could say, allow that player to still play on that team? And that's where some people, it becomes the whole moral argument where it's like, well, he played in, like I said, I played in all 12 games. I contributed. I showed up to practices. I was like, let's say there's no bad blood or anything. I did everything I really needed to do. But I'm not really a part of the team or the plan or any of that going forward. That's basically kind of what I said, joining the portal. You know, for all I know, maybe these guys still travel with the team, right? You know, they'll still just be on the sideline. They won't be suited up, or maybe they're just straight up like, you join the portal. The coach decides, you know, he's like, you know, we're going to put you down as out. Right, you won't play because you're in the transfer portal. Right, there's multiple reasons. But it really kind of should be you're essentially decommitting from being a part of this team. So from this day forth, right, that's how you got to look at it. Like, that's literally how you have to look at it. You got to think about it. Earlier this season, you had guys who played in like 3 or 4 games, and then after that 3rd or 4th game, they were like, I am jumping into the transfer portal. I am done for the year. You can reach out to if you want to, right? That literally is something that happened. UNLV's quarterback did that. I want to say Boston College's quarterback, right? Like, you had multiple players who were in the portal before, right? Like these guys were in the portal. Like, they were in there. So you have to understand, we're going to start seeing a lot of that, sadly. Whereas you're going to see guys who might play in XYZ games where they might get up to a certain number, and then they're just like, nah, this ain't it. And then they jump into the portal. They're already like, this, I'm not going to be a part of this team any longer. Right? And you have to understand, like, that is what's going on. So from the player perspective, here's another reason why I might not want to play in that bowl game. I don't want to risk injury. To me, I would say you view it from the same POV as guys who declare for the NFL draft, right? I feel like you're less likely to see a quarterback who, let's say, is playing in the college football playoff, or they're playing for, like, you know, if we go even further back, the national championship or this, that, right? Yeah, you're less likely to see guys jump in the portal or declare, because it's like, this is the last big hurrah, right? I want to, you know, now it'd be scary as all hell. It's scary as all hell if you're projected first round talent and you're still out there throwing that ball. You're still out there running that ball, diving to catch that ball. You're still out there trying to make this huge play. Because you get injured, that draft stock's probably going to drop. It's the same approach, I feel like, from the player's perspective when it comes to the transfer portal. I just had a whole season to display my talents, right? This is what I did this whole year. I ran for 1,500 yards. I had 15 touchdowns. I averaged 6 yards per carry. You know, I was even catching the ball. I caught the ball, and I was able to tally a good 500 yards receiving, yada, yada, yada. I don't think me playing that one more bowl game is necessary. It really ain't. It's not necessary. Even if the bowl game you're about to play in is low stakes, right? You're not playing for the natty. You're not playing in the college football playoff. It's just a bowl game. It's a nice trip, a nice vacation. It's a reward for finishing with a above 500 record, right? You were able to get 6 wins and make it into a bowl game. And we know sometimes that doesn't necessarily get you in. You know, you at least want 7. I don't know if I've seen a 7-win team not make a bowl game in this modern era of college football. because I do know in the past NIU clearly had a team that should have gone to a bowl game. I think we had like 10 wins and didn't go to a bowl game, which is crazy. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, technically, can you still opt in? Yes, from the player end. I honestly, truthfully think it's kind of that mutual decision between the coach and the player. I feel like more coaches are going to be like, probably no, more than, like, because it gives you a chance and opportunity to get some of those other guys reps. Because like I said, you're no longer going to even be a part of this. So why do I even, like we've seen plenty of seasons at this point where the guy who ended up the starter the next season, right, they go back to a highlight from the bowl game the year prior, right? Because that might have been the first, the first game he started that year and, did amazing and yada, yada, yada. So no, now there's high hopes for the next year. Or sometimes, like that's typically how it goes. It's logistic, it's strategic, but there's just a way you got to look at it. But I guess technically, if a guy enters the portal, and we're talking about purely from the point of view of they enter the portal and don't sign with anybody else, then they can continue to play for that team. The other thing is, and this is a weird one, even though I'm not sure if you would see this, I think technically, if a guy enters the portal and they do sign with another team, then technically they're eligible to play for that other team right away, if I remember correctly. I don't know if I've seen that per se. Like, I don't think I've seen that. And it sounds kind of crazy because I'm like, if this guy just signed, am I really about to, like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one where a guy signs and then, I mean, technically, I want to say they are eligible to then begin playing all those things with this other school, right? Because, well, if I sign, well, I'm now under scholarship with that school and nothing is really holding you back, right? I think you would even still count as that I think it would still count as that current year's eligibility if we're being technical. I don't think it would be like, well, now you're dipping into next season's eligibility or something like that. I think it all still counts towards the same season. So, right, it gets real weird, it gets real complicated. This is still something that's new, something that's young. Like I said, this started in 2018, and then we looked up and COVID popped off, and right now you just got all these things going on. So the way it works, right, here's a more realistic actual scenario because specifically when it comes to NIU, I guess you can say one of our star players, we have Trayvon Rudolph. Last year, 2023, Trayvon Rudolph, you saw his name enter the transfer portal. That was early December. Trayvon Rudolph then still stayed with NIU, right? So he withdrew his name from the transfer portal. I'm assuming there was a conversation with him and the coaches, this, that, the other, right? They left that door open to stay at NIU if he wanted to. He ended up staying at NIU. He still played in the bowl game. Everything went as, but I think there was some confusion because what everybody remembers is him entering the portal. Clearly he exited the portal as well, but I don't know if people are forgetting when all of this went down, these dates and things like that, because like I said, he entered the portal and then he stayed with NIU. So, I mean, all of this stuff happened before our bowl game happened, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, yeah, he still played in the game. But if it was like a situation where it's like, oh, he entered the portal and then kind of stayed in the portal and then played in the bowl game. Like, I just don't even see, I couldn't imagine the coaches doing that. Like, that would be a weird one. Like, you have a guy who's in the portal, haven't signed with another team, but you're still going to let them play in the bowl game. Like, it's nothing personal against the player, but it's like, am I really going to allow you to get like one more game in to add to your highlight tape so you can then go play somewhere else? And I don't think any coach is like that desperate for a win in a bowl game that they're going to let guys who are entering the transfer portal or who are in the portal still play in the bowl game. Like, it's, I mean, I know some coaches, there's incentives, there's bonuses, things like that. That may be the reason why, but it's like, yeah, I don't really see it. So it's like, if your starting quarterback enters the transfer portal, will they still play in the bowl game? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's a no from the end of the coach, because at that point, they're kind of moving on, unless behind the scenes communication was had where it was like, you know, you can jump into the portal, if you decide to come back within whatever XYZ days, right? Clearly you can come back, and you'll still be our guy. No bad blood, yada, 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 right? But like I said, if it's essentially technically that guy entered the portal, they have the intent on no longer really being a part of the team. So you're going to want to take that time to sit there and work your other guys in. Like NIU, we officially are in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And I want to say that's a December 23rd bowl game. It is December 8th. Yeah, you're going to want your other quarterbacks getting reps and as many things as possible to prepare for that game, right? Depending on how that bowl game goes, that could be a potential huge factor in who your starter is for the next season. On top of that, the funny part is, right, I'm talking about all this, right? NIU has other quarterbacks from the transfer portal coming to visit the school and check things out and yada, 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 meet the coach and stuff, right? So, like, if you have other guys coming in from the portal at the quarterback position who are looking for a new home, I really don't think that the guy you had is going to play in that bowl game. Now, like I said, the other weird thing could be, and I know this about NIU, even if we sign somebody from the portal, unless the offense they were running is the exact same offense, you're not going to see that quarterback in that bowl game, right? No, because they're going to be spending that offseason learning the offense, right? You won't see that guy until summer camp and stuff, right? He's not getting in the bowl game, right? You're going to have whoever probably most likely your backup was for the season, they're going to be your starter for the bowl game. Or maybe some of the other guys on the bench could end up starting the bowl game. Maybe multiple guys get in for that bowl game. Who knows? But like I said, from the coaching side, that guy is kind of moved on, right? From the player side, I would treat it no differently than somebody who declares for the NFL draft, right? I'm communicating with other schools. I'm trying to make sure I stay healthy. So, yeah, I'm definitely probably not going to play in that bowl game. Yeah, my stats are my stats. I got highlights. I was the starter for the season, so I already have tape. Doesn't really make sense for me to play one more game, put myself out there, risk getting injured, and then now we got a situation, So, yeah, that's the Transfer Portal 2024. Once again, can a guy still technically play in a bowl game even though they're in the transfer portal? Yes. technically they can, but most likely they will not. Like, I don't think I'm yet to see the situation or the scenario where a school still had a player who was in the transfer portal who still played in a bowl game or anything like that. So for the most part, it's a no. It's like, yes, you can be like, these guys played all season. This is something they earned, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, the individual, the human being, the man, the player literally just communicated they no longer are trying to play for your team. So more than likely, they're not going to be in that game. So hopefully this helps clarify some things for people. Peace.